this again. I hope this goes a little bit better than yesterday. I'm hoping that I can say this clearly enough that you'll understand, even if I'm not there. What we're going to do now is convert fractions to percents. We've already converted fractions to decimals. Now we're going to convert fractions to percents. It's actually really, really easy. One of the easiest things you'll learn this year. So just bear with me. Please write these down. You should already have this loaded in GoodNotes. If you don't, for some reason, please ask Mrs. Anderson to pause here so that you can get this loaded. Okay? All right, the first thing you're really going to think about here is how do we get from a fraction to a percent? To me, the easiest way is to take your fraction. Okay, so I'm going to write a fraction in the first box. Take your fraction, convert it to a decimal. And that's really easy, right? We just use our calculator and divide the numerator by the denominator, and then convert your decimal to a percent, which is very easy. We just add a percent sign. So let's do an example. For example, let's take the fraction, an easy one that we've used before. Let's use 3/4. Okay, we already know that 3/4 converted to a decimal is really 75 hundredths or 0.75. Okay, which is 75 hundredths, like I just said. In order to make it a percent, you just drop the decimal and add a percent sign, and it becomes 75%. Okay, so step one is convert fraction to decimal. Step two is remove decimal, add percent sign, add percent sign. Easy enough. Okay, not hard at all. Okay. And there is another way that you can do this, and fractions are really I'm sorry, not fractions. Percents are numbers that are out of 100. So, like for example, when you get a grade on a test, you might get 90%. That means you got 90 out of 100 right, or that percentage of numbers. So, for example, if we took, let's say, for example, you had a homework assignment and it was worth 10 points, and you got an 8 out of 10 on your homework. Let me erase that 8. It's kind of messy. Let me write it again. Let's say you got an 8 out of 10 on your homework, and you want to know what percent that is. Okay. Another easy way to do this, you could convert it to a decimal, which is 0.8, and then change that to 80%. Okay. But you can also think this equals what equivalent fraction can you make with 100 in the denominator? 10 times 10 is 100, so 8 times 10 is 80. And that means that it's 80 out of 100, or 80%. Okay, pretty easy, right? Not hard at all. Okay, let's do another example of that. Let's take 4 out of 5. A lot of you are familiar with 4 out of 5 on a homework assignment. How could we convert that? Well, we can convert it to hundredths. Okay, so let's make an equivalent fraction with 100 on the bottom. 5 times 20 equals 100, and 4 times 20 equals 80, which is the same thing, 80%. Okay. So basically, the easiest ways to do this are to use equivalent fractions with hundreds in your denominator, or to convert to a decimal and then convert your decimal, or add a percent sign to your decimal. Okay, let me give you a little bit of time here to work through, or to make sure you have all that written down, and then we'll go to the next page. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the next page. If you need more time, please ask Mrs. Anderson to pause. Okay. Now let's go the other direction. We have to go from a percent to a fraction. And when we're talking about percents, the magic number is always 100. Okay? So 100 is our magic number. That just means that all percents are numbers out of 100 or fractions out of 100. So let's just take the opposite direction and say 40%. And we want to convert that into a fraction. All we do is, the first step is drop the percent sign. Drop the percent sign. So then it becomes 40, and we write it over 100. Right over 100. So 40 100ths. And then I'm going to stretch this out a little bit. And then simplify, which equals, divide both of them by 20, and you will get 2/5. 2/5 equals 40 out of 100, or 40%. Okay, so let's write the steps a little bit more clearly over here, where we have a little bit more space. So to go from percent to fraction. Okay, first step is drop the percent sign. Drop the percent sign. 2, place the number in a fraction with a denominator of 100. And then the third step is always with fractions to simplify. Okay. Let's do another example now that we know our steps. And let's take, actually, you know what? Let me go back a little bit and let you make sure that you have that. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of time there. And you can go ahead and make sure you have that. And then we'll do another example. Percents are really important, in case you already didn't know. Percents we use all the time in real world. We use them to find out the discount on things. We use them to figure out tips when we go to a restaurant or get our hair cut, anything like that. It's probably one of the most common things that you will use with math. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do an example. Okay, I'm going to bring this problem over here, and let's take a percent. Let's take, how about, we want to take, let's see, how about we do this? Let's do 120%. Let's say you did a bunch of extra credit, and you got 120% on your test. How are we going to convert that into a fraction? Okay, step 1, drop the percent sign, and we get 120. Okay, and then we're going to take that and put it in a fraction with 120 with a denominator of 100. And then we simplify. If we simplify 120 over 100, I'm going to do my cake method. I'm going to divide both by 20, the greatest common factor. 20 goes into 120 6 times and into 105 times. So I end up with 6 over 5, or, sorry, this is a little messy. Let me erase that. I don't like that. Use a thinner pen and a different color, maybe so you can see. This ends up 6 over 5, which equals 1 1/5 is our fraction, a mixed number. Okay, so I'm going to write a note here. All percents over 100% are mixed numbers because they are greater than one whole. 100% is one whole. Let's write that too, because I think it's really important. Let's write that maybe down at the bottom. Let's write 100% percent equals 1 whole. Very important fact to know. Okay, I hope you guys have these notes. Obviously, have Mrs. Anderson leave this on the screen until you have it all. But I hope that really helps, and you're going to practice with a PowerPoint. After this, I want you to use a Doceri screen to do your practice problems, and I will see you all tomorrow, and we will work through any problems that you are still having on any of fractions, decimals, and percents so far. Okay, thanks so much, guys, and I will see you tomorrow.